Welcome to Drops of Knowledge podcast. Today we have a very fascinating topic to discuss, especially for those who love to be informed about language topics. Yes, we do not talk about those topics very often. However, language teachers may be interested in listening to what experts say about literacy, as well as language learners, who eventually will be better enabled to interact through the new media and better respond to the communication demands of the current world. Today we have in the studio two language teachers who have read extensive material, and they are here to discuss the important facts of literacy and the components that derive from it. They are Janitza Guerrero and Nazira Santiago. Let's start with some questions. Hello Nazira. First, I think our listeners might be wondering what we mean by literacy. So it will be right to define the term literacy. What does it mean?
Thank you for having me on the show today, Mr. Gallego. According to the Center for Literacy, literacy comprises a multifaceted set of skills to understand and use the prevailing symbol systems of a culture for personal and community progress at home and at work. The need for these skills vary in different contexts and societies. One example of a symbol system is the Latin or Roman alphabet, which has been used since it appeared in the 7th century, and it has evolved according to the needs of the communities. I mentioned the alphabet due to its essential role in literacy. Each letter is a symbol that humans put together to form words, and humanity has been keeping records of events through this useful system.
You mentioned that the need for the abilities depends on particular contexts and societies. It raises my next question. Can different needs, societies, and contexts create new literacies?
Absolutely. New literacies call for teachers to understand new communicational and representational demands, as well as new practices that are relevant to 21st century. New literacy integrates a variety of sources or materials to enhance understanding. Teachers nowadays, for example, must be able to use and integrate any tools such as technology, commercial videos, songs, movies, images, slogans, you name it. That is to challenge students to interpret, analyze, and connect previous knowledge to understand new concepts and create their own learning strategies.
I see. So is it safe to say that nowadays teachers should integrate a kind of multiliteracy, so to say, to foster and promote interactive learning? For the sake of the students, all those boring reading classes should no longer be common now.
Actually, this word multiliteracy is widely used. Well, it is a huge challenge to have students attentive, interested in a topic, and to motivate them to interact in class. It demands teachers' creativity. I strongly agree with Claudia Cañas and Angela Ocampo. They explain how currently multiliteracy offers students the tools to understand the real world, their culture and society, and teachers must lead them to exercise their potential to analyze different meaning-making and transform the learning through different alternatives of engagement. I believe it is so helpful for those students who struggle on reading comprehension. Giving them visual or digital options to comprehend turns learning fun and motivational to them. A recent study by Maria Mejia Vélez and Tatiana Salazar includes also the term multimodality as the integration of a set modes. These modes could be sounds, images, or colors. Modes are the sources to send messages, and at the same time, they make the message easy to understand. Multimodality makes semiotics an essential part to facilitate understanding. To refresh the term semiotics, let's say it recognizes the signs and symbols as elements of communication. For example, traffic signals, logotypes, digital icons, even body language and gestures. They send messages and we understand them without reading any words. Let me give you a more concrete example. People have to read all types of text, both digital and printed, ranging from business and cards and traffic signs to WhatsApp messages and tweets. These intrusive and omnipresent media are shaping our students' minds and, as such, they will help them pave the road to their future life as professional and global citizens. Therefore, we, as teachers, need to be ready to respond to this growing trend. Going back to the term multiliteracy, it refers to the multiple ways people make meaning with language. And we previously said the meaning can come from text, context, and cultures. Then, all those are closely related to multimodality, which deals with how individuals make meaning with different kinds of modes. Both multiliteracy and multimodality are vital elements in communication. Jennifer Rosell and Maureen Walsh presented a wide study about this topic.
Well, you have mentioned something about multiliteracy as a way for students to connect to previous knowledge. Could you explain it in a little more detailed way?
Well, multiliteracies become a way for teachers to make students to feel motivated and engaged with traditional texts. Teachers can make students to use books such as comics to teach them how to make connections between traditional characters or conflicts and the real context. According to Seglem, White, and Beamer, through multiliteracies, teachers have found the way to connect something and besides finding a strategy to make learning meaningful and useful. For example, a teacher who bridges the gap between just reading in a very literal way and making the students think in a very critical and deeper way. For example, connecting cartoons or video games to traditional texts, recreating the same situations and trying to find the common points among them. This means activating students' prior knowledge.
Regarding how technology has evolved and the way it has caused an impact in almost all aspects of life, even education, could you explain how it has affected positively or negatively students' lives since working under a computer-based approach is quite different from a face-to-face approach?
Well, this is a very interesting question since our lives are strongly impacted by technology. What can I say? According to Guth and Helm, when you as a student are involved in an internet-based course learning at the same time with people from other places all around the world, you are learning many things besides the target content. It is called telecollaboration. It remarks the importance not only of learning the foreign language, but also acquiring cultural awareness, since students become more competent when they not just know about knowledge, but also know how to interact with somebody who belongs to a different culture. This means that telecollaboration has a socio-cultural view of language learning. Depending on the task design, telecollaboration can be both asynchronous, which is when, for example, the teacher organizes an activity through an email or a forum, and synchronous when the activity points to do the activity in an environment shared by everyone at the same time. For example, a forum displayed at the same time for all the students to share information through media sharing communication, like the cases of Kahoot or Quizlet. This means the teacher needs to bear in mind that these kinds of activities come up with some newer types of difficulties than those we face in face-to-face learning contexts.
Wow, what an enriching and enlightening conversation we've had. We can conclude that the best way to adapt some of the ideas about literacy we are discussing in the seminar is by listening to our students' interests and experiences with technology and the contact they have with English outside the classroom. Students are certainly in contact with movies and music, which we need to know and sometimes even learn about. In addition, it is very important to show students the outside world where English comes to life beyond formal and traditional texts such as essays and other academic texts. This can be done by helping students explore their interests and develop literacies such as scientific, artistic, and musical literacies.